back. It's been a long time. How are you doing? We're gonna make a bag. As you can tell, the backpack is lined with pockets and all. If it doesn't have any pockets, what's the point in making a bag, right? You can purchase the pattern for this bag if you want. The link is in the description. If not, you can also click the same link for dimensions of the bag so you can make your own pattern. I'm using a new video editor now, so if you have any complaints about the audio in this video, let me know in the comments so that I won't make the same mistakes in the next video. Do I need to say more? No, I don't think so. Okay, let's begin. We're gonna start off with the back side of the lining. Lay the pattern on top of the pocket piece, and where those notches are, make a small cut as marking on both sides with your scissors. Then fold the edge where those markings are and press it down. After that, take it to your sewing machine to top stitch 1 centimeter or 1/2 centimeter away from the edge. It's whatever you desire. If you want to, you can serge the edge all the way around. It's not really necessary since all the seam allowance will be hidden inside the bag, but it's an optional choice. Once you're finished, you should end up with something like this. Now take the back panel and place a pattern for it. Cut 2 small cuts where it says piece C. Line up the pocket on top of the back panel where those markings are and attach the pocket with the wrong and right side facing. Secure the piece with a stitch all the way around. I did 1/2 centimeter from the edge. The back is done for now, so leave it aside for later. Moving on with the front. For this one you need pattern D and A again. Make 2 markings where it says piece D in panel A. Later on, the pocket will be attached to panel A, aka the front panel. Prep the pocket piece for sewing with the pattern. Fold the edge like previously we have done with the other pocket. Give it a nice press with the iron. Top stitch the edge 1 centimeter or 1/2 centimeter away from the edge. Match the markings of both panels with the right sides touching. If that is perfectly matched, sew across the panel. You can draw a straight line as guide if you want. Here is a close-up on how it should look, not like the unfinished sewing. Obviously, I thought I would have just enough thread. As you can see here, gambling is not good for you, so I had to do it all over off camera. Place a pattern on top of the panel, use a chalk to mark. Then make a guideline with your ruler to sew the pocket onto the panel in just one try. Lastly, secure both sides 1/2 centimeter from the edge. For now, we're done with the lining panels. Here is a quick view of both pieces. Continue with the front pocket, aka pocket B. There we have the top half and the bottom half. Make those markings again in both pieces. Obviously you can do this before you're gonna sew, but I want to show you where those markings needs to be for each panel. So if you're going to do this project, you can prep all the pieces before you're going to sew. With this kind of stuff, I always make sure that the zipper is longer than the actual length. So I know for a fact that I don't have to go back to the store because the zipper wasn't long enough. Lay the top half onto the zip, right sides facing the zipper. Sew it down with a straight stitch while using a zipper foot so that you're able to sew close to the zipper. If you're done, it looks like this. Now match up those markings on both sides. From there, fold the edge. If you want, you can press it down. I didn't do it because I was being lazy as usual. Secure this part along the top. Half of the zipper with a straight stitch. At the end, the zipper should open very easily without any troubles. Here's a view how it should look after sewing. Then sew the bottom half. Make sure it is aligned with the top half. Sew a straight stitch along the zip edge, also with the right side facing the zip. I recommend to top stitch close to the zipper of the bottom half so that the fabric stays in place. It also prevents the fabric from getting stuck in the slider. I forgot to make those cuts in the top half, so I did it quickly here. Fold the corner in half, make sure that the marks are matching up. Sew a straight line to secure it. Do this with all other corners. This is how it should look at the end, a 3D effect. Trim off all corners, the zipper, and now we have almost a pocket. Fold the seam allowance inwards by pressing it down with the iron. Where the zipper is unzipped, I later secure it with a stitch before attaching the pocket onto the front panel. Trim off the zip teeth so that it doesn't have all those built up and it's easier to sew the pocket on the panel. Use the same pattern again for the front panel. Take your chalk and mark the back area. Connect everything with the ruler. Align the back with pins all the way around. Use as many as you need, especially for this. You want to sew this on with the first try. Normally I don't use as many pins like this or at all. For me it costs me too much time and energy. I just hate them. If the pocket is in the correct place, top stitch all the way around the edge to secure it to the front panel. I always like to do everything fast normally, but for this part you want to take your time. Use the same pattern to make the strap area. Use a chalk for this. I purchased this webbing strap online. Initially I wanted to go for a 2.5 inch strap, but this one is 3 centimeters wide because I wasn't able to find the same width for a buckle. So you can either go for a 2.5 or a 3 centimeter wide strap. For the handle I cut off 60 centimeters, that is including the seam allowance. Pin the strap down, fold 1 centimeter inwards, then take it to your sewing machine. Sew a box with an X in it like so. Once you're done, fold the strap in half, top stitch both edges together. There's your handle, here's a view on both sides, and here you see how the back side looks. Next, place the front lining on top of the main front panel with the wrong sides touching. Sew along the edge 0.5 centimeter around. Use pins if necessary. You can also do this at a later stage. for me it's easier to manage one layer instead of 2 or 3 layers, and it keeps me organized because I know I would lose one of the two, and by that I mean when all panels will be sewn together. Next, use the same pattern to make the strap area for the back panel. For the back, I cut off 3-meter strap just to make sure that I wouldn't come too short. From the midpoint, pin on both sides 29 centimeters for the back handle, so it has the same length as the front handle. I did here 30 centimeters, which is wrong. The strap for the front handle was 60 including seam allowance, and 60 minus 2 centimeters seam allowance equals 58, which I forgot to do here. Secure the strap with pins, sew a box with the X. For the back I went over it a couple times since there is more pressure on the back side if you carry the bag. Fold both straps upwards like this, secure the top with a pin, then you need to sew along the top, bottom and the sides of the straps to the back panel. This is how it should look at both ends of the straps. Cut off around 45 or 50 centimeters. As you can see, I did 40 centimeters, but I wish I have done 50 centimeters. The strap that is attached to the back was way too long in my opinion, so later on I did cut off more. Here we have 2 triangle pieces for the strap. Fold the edge inwards between a centimeter and a half a centimeter with the iron. After that, fold the triangle in half for the strap placement. Lay the strap right next to the fold. Top stitch the edge like so. Go over it for 2 or 3 times or more if you want to. Then pin the triangles on both sides of the back panel like this. Flip the back panel, place the lining on top with the wrong sides touching, sew all the way around a half a centimeter from the edge to secure both pieces and the triangles together. While you're sewing, keep an eye on these straps because you don't want to sew it as well by accident. Now we're done with the back. Prep main side panel with pattern G. For the lining side panel, prep it with pattern F. For both panels you need a zipper with double sliders like this one. This zipper is 5 centimeters longer than the actual length of both side panels. On the side with the 3 cuts, place the side panel on with the good side facing the zip, sew all the way across the length with a zip foot. If you're done, it should look like this. Repeat the same with the lining panel, also with the good side facing the zipper. Once you have attached the lining, you want to finish it with a top stitch, which I haven't done. Yeah, I just didn't. Depending on what kind of fabric you use, I suggest to use pins so that the top layer doesn't shift while you're sewing. Here a quick view of the results, and don't forget to top stitch the lining so that the fabric doesn't get stuck in the zip slider. Where those 3 cuts are folded down like so, Then sew a straight stitch until the zipper. Make sure that you don't catch the zipper with the needle. For this part I'm using a zipper foot. Now use any tool to flip the corners like so. Press both side panels, make sure that both edges of the panels are aligned. Secure the part that covers the zipper on the top half of the zipper like so. Here is an overview from both sides how it should look, besides from not top stitching the lining. Moving on with the last panel, the bottom side. Make markings in both panels with pattern E. The width of the bottom panel is actually 1 centimeter bigger than the side panel due to the zipper, just to make sure that the bottom and side panel ends up with the same width at the end. If the bottom is bigger than the side panel including the zipper, I just can simply trim it off to the same width. Sew the bottom onto the side panel with a straight stitch with the good sides touching. If you sew this part, make sure that you don't sew the part where it covers up the zipper. That's what I did. Luckily, I just did a small part. Pin it aside if you need to. Besides that, sew slowly. If you're going over the zipper, you don't want to break your needle. Trim off the excess zipper. Do the same for the lining, just on one side with the good sides touching again. Now to attach the other side, hold the bottom panel and the seam allowance from the side panel like this. Then let both good sides touching like so and flip it over, sew it down. There you have a nice finished lining from the inside. At last minute, I finally decided to top stitch something. I top stitched the bottom panel a ½ centimeter from the edge. Start off by matching up the markings of the back panel and side panel together and pin it down. After that, you can add more pins if needed. So 1 centimeter away along the edge. Take your time with this part. If you mess up some parts, just simply remove the thread in that specific area, then continue with sewing from there. Now repeat the same for the front panel. If you want to top stitch the front side along the zipper, then you should sew the front side first, then the back side, which I haven't done. Take pattern A to mark the top, bottom sides where it says piece G, aka the end of the zipper in the side panel. Here you can see I sewed it a bit over the covering. Pin it aside on both sides so that it doesn't get in your way when you sew the panels together. The bottom panel had a bigger width than the sides, so I trimmed off the excess. Match all markings together and pin those first. Later on you can add more pins. If I would have marked the center of the zipper, it would have made my life easier. So after attaching the side panels to the zipper, mark the middle point of the zipper. If you're done with pinning, sew with a zipper foot so that you're able to sew close to the zipper. Seal all the ends with a lighter. This will only work if the straps are from some kind of polyester material. It started to unravel in one of the triangles, so I'm glad that it happened. So now I'm able to warn you to make sure that you seal those ends. You need 2 of these clamping buckles for adjusting the straps. This is the back side and this is the front side. There are no instructions, but by the illustration I can tell how to install it. Front side of the buckle needs to face you. Insert the strap from the back side through the top hole, then through the middle hole like so. Fold the end of the strap inwards to secure it with a stitch. Insert the bottom strap from the back side in the middle hole, then in the bottom hole fold the end 1 cm inwards to secure it with a stitch. The final step is to bias tape the seam allowance. Unfortunately, I didn't have the correct width at that time. I had to buy another one that was wider than this one. I did this part off cam. It is very easy to sew it on. You just simply fold the tape around the seam allowance, then you sew it along the edge of the tape. Here is a quick view what I have done. I didn't sew it nicely, as you can see, because I was over this back at this point. At least it looks better than before. The tape is trimmed at some places so that the slider doesn't catch the fabric. I finished those areas with fur check. Take care, doei.
Smoking outside, trying to get your attention.